So, I don't even know how to respond to this. Because I feel like this is important since it'll also help set the mood. Because I launched the game a little bit ago because I wanted to make sure that it was all set and that everything was working fine for streaming. So I went through the initial startup stuff. Then it asked me to set the time. It's like, okay, so, like, whatever, and I set the time. Got to the start screen, perfectly fine, it all worked. So then I closed the game. Then I open it again to prep for this, because I also wanted to get to the title screen so I could prep the stream and all this other stuff. It asked me to set the time again, so I set it. It then thanked me for setting the time both times. Because a lot of other people, apparently, supposedly, according to the game itself, just set the time to 12:00. And as my reward, it said that it would let me set the time to whatever I want next time I launch the game. Don't know what to make of that. But I guess that's a good tone setter. I also have never played this game before.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them.
That's in the original. That's
this
do
is
not
what
go outside.
Employee 427
That's go outside.
every day, every month
Ultra Deluxe
of
has
every
Super Go
year.
Outside, which is
And
don't play the
although
game for
others
10
might have
years.
considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
I know somebody who got
Never in all his years
who
at the
got Go
company
Outside.
had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked,
Like,
frozen
completely
solid,
legit.
Stanley found
They were
himself
waiting a
unable
couple
to
years,
move for
and
the
then they got it.
longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay, Garfield. Oh, I slide a little.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I can't jump.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You can't jump. Hang on. You can't jump. No, seriously, we disabled it. That is my first achievement. You got it in high school, now you can get the new one, and then that means that you can also work to get Super Go Outside. So that door's there. Why does it make click noise when I do that? Be my Valentine. Oh, I think this is the simplistic movement. I'll just use normal WASD then.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. Why are your times at the bottom? I did not go to any closet. Unfortunately for you, I've been out of there for a while. Play today's finished agendas. The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Get Chris out of the broom closet. What? Fire paper guy. Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets on the topic. I did try to jump though. It did not work. If you ever find yourself in a conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, but more inclined to difficult unless you're the kind of person who indicates conflict, why would I hire you? What are your chances of future? Nature talks radio, less air, comatose, metamorphosis. Tips to not getting fired. Talk less. Don't get fired. Do unbelievably amazing work all the time, every day, with no exception or no expectation of promotion or recognition. Let it ball up inside you. Take out passive aggressively on co-workers, resent co-workers for not supporting you more. Oh, broom closet. Oh.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
It's not true. There's a wrench here. And film. And a broom.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Now I want to be spiteful.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
I don't know. That joining nose is pretty nice.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
Spite.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
It's so weird playing this after I played Icy.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
When you're a DM and then your players get attached to to an NPC that you thought was going to be throwaway.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path.
No.
Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Why was the XD in the subtitle?
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Why?
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Fair. I'm gonna wait here for like another minute just to be spiteful. At the very least. At the very least, I'm really happy that it at least shows its hand like that. It's like, hey, this is about narrative tropes in gaming, which is something I do care about. Unfortunately for you, I'm not dead. Another 30 seconds. That is a pretty big wrench, though. A very simple broom. Still can't jump. Still can't jump. Wait, is that in the settings? No, it's still there. Yeah, no, I just can't jump. Alright. Okay, it's been a minute.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
That's ominous. Oh, paper. What? How am I supposed to... That's like a full letter. There's no way I can read that. Hang on. Screenshot for later.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense.
Oh no.
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
I'm trapped.
Oh, what a relief
Why do I keep
Stanley
playing
felt
games where I'm
to
in a
have
loop?
finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job
Maybe
pushing
11,
buttons.
12.
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
I'm not gonna
So,
enjoy this when I'm
he
stuck in
imagined
it
himself
like
flying
this.
and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
Constantly trapped in
Why
time
is
loops
there a
and looping
voice in my
locations.
head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
It doesn't.
the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a...
Oh, that was an actual bug.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
That was an actual
Stanley
bug.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I don't know what to say.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
That was a real bug. I just...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
I just
Perhaps he
slipped
wanted
in.
to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I just slipped through the door when it was closing. Can I do it again? No. Can I do it again? No. Can I do it again?
Yes,
No.
truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
That was a real bug. I will accept that L.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
I see a big red button. How are you going to expect me not to push it?
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
No other door's open, so...
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Portal 2.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly...
Portal 2's code base.
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right.
I still don't know how I did that. All I did was just slip through the door when it was like still slightly open.
Absolutely, definitely this way.
Oh.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to,
That one dude's fired. Whose wallpaper
It's
is
all
that?
rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
Again?
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, so I got a real ending just now, but then the other ending was a fake ending. Not a fake ending.
Wait.
It was a
Wait,
broken
what?
ending. What?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
No.
Did you move the story somewhere or...
No.
Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure.
Okay.
Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Why would you open this door, but I can't even... Whatever. Let's do first door on the right. Oh, that doesn't matter. Okay, this feels like the back rooms.
This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
Again?
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Wait. Not done exploring the back rooms yet.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Door over there's a... Ooh. Oh. Wait, I can turn this off. Can't go back into my room. Wait a minute. Okay, it only did that because I moved away. Can't go through any other door, and I can't see any other computers that are on. Ooh. Fine. But that leads somewhere.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Still can't open that door. Why do you have a stepladder in there? That door's open. That one's also open.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The
No.
story. Here
It's
it
looping.
comes. No, wait. Never mind.
Or
not the
not.
story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Cool impossible space.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Okay.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Line TM. The computers are still on. Also, does I'm not sure. Not sure if this came out. No, this definitely had to have come out like before. Are you playing solitaire? Can I play? Can't play solitaire. Also, that chair has no collision. This was definitely out before all the yellow paint discourse, but it's really funny that this is just coincidentally yellow.
It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
Yes.
Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay,
yes.
Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
I don't think the music is necessary. Whoa. I didn't imagine that, did I?
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
What fern? This one?
Stanley,
cool.
This fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
It's really cool that I can, like, freshly install a video game that is relatively kind of old. Relatively, I say, even though that this is, like, the newer version of it. Caused the game to crash once.
We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Caused the game to crash once, and then caused it to also do another weird loading error.
Oh,
Hi, we're back here again.
No, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted
still
you,
fired.
after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley,
peer reviews.
I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
I like the fact that the lion is essentially its own sentient being who wants to also be included. Oh, goodbye.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here,
We're
the
back
story
to
is in
left and
our
right.
control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here.
You mean an
that
entrance?
in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
Find
so
a
now,
bookstore?
according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So...
We can't leave.
Okay.
Wander in
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So
They're right.
I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we?
Eventually.
Well, in the meantime, if you...
That did get me to jump, we'll admit.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Are we still back in a confusion ending, or are we still going?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I think...
Yet there was not a single person here either.
This is normal. That
Feeling
horn
a
did throw
wave
me
of
off, though.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to
going
a
down there.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ooh. To be rich is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life would be if I have to pick just one. Literally Time magazine. They got the fancy hand soap. The beige pages. 'Cause it's slightly off yellow? Why? Business strategy. That's just mean. Oh. I am the boss. Expensive boss. Indoors monthly. Help, I can't find my cat. Whoa, what? Could be indoors. What wallpaper should I put in my kitchen? Graphs. How to be a good quarterly percentile? Can you say anything without putting them in graphs? No. How to make graphs quickly. Shapes. Exclusive. Lenny Smith talks about his new box. Weird. Okay. Not bad. That's the narrator singing, isn't it? It is. I also like that I can tell that the sound, like the point of origin is like right above my head. It's not directly up in the corner. Because standing here, I can hear it in my left channel. So it's like about here. This is my right channel, here. This is a tall building. Recommendation for the oversight program? Oversight committee. Okay, fair. You win that one.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845. Carte blanche et Mont Blanc. That's stupid. Sewage Lilies by Claude Monet.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. 2845.
Okay, we can brute force this. Wait, I should start with 0.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
See? Got it. Carte Blanc, Mont Blanc Carte Blanche
Descending deeper into the building,
Blanc
Stanley
is
realized he
such a
felt a bit
stupid,
peculiar.
specific type
It
of
was
joke
a
to me.
stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Very.
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
I like what it's going for. With the, Stanley learns the truth about his...
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator.
Oh,
it's
that
still
one's
just
new.
exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Okay, I can see why that was new. They still let me mess with this. That's literally it. I just get to come back here slightly. I can't even leave. That really did flesh out the story, huh?
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
It had skipped the... whatever.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
So petty. Like...
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this. Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
This... This is picking such a very specific bone with very specific people.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
This is such... Like, the level of people... Admittedly, I'm also mad at those types of people. But, like, oh, but I wanted to go back, and I wanted to see, like, what would happen if I went back there after this. And it's like, nothing. Nothing would happen if you went back there. There was no point for you to go back there. Why would you want to go back there? I want to go back there. I want to go back there. I want to go back there. This is what you get. Nothing. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive. You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, though I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh good, we're here. Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
World's healthiest human being, all tricks revealed. How we did it. The pyramids. That guy who went to Mars. I'm more of an ad-lib type of person. I don't really... Love you, world peace, baby.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Is that a... Is that a shader orb? World's first sentient machine. Doing great. A conversation with Alexander did great.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley.
Up again, down again.
It looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
I played the demo. Adventure awaits. Narrator airlines. I went to the mind control facility and all I got was this lousy sticker. Wish you were here. Aloha from the freedom ending. Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from. Your coworkers. Story. Thanks for showing me that cool skateboard trick in the parking lot. You're too cool. Good luck on stage. Rock on. Break a leg, champ. No one tells stories the way you do. Go get him, Tiger. Stanley, my true love, from you? Ooh. My true love for you grew every day you make me feel alive. Your wife. From the apartment ending. Nice touch to have all the wallpapers look like eyes. An audience with the dude who came up with pizza. Featuring keynote speaker, the Lord, plus meet and greet. That had to be new.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
That's a lot.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
That's very elaborate, just for going.
Yet there was not a
back
single
up.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
That's so much for so little.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
That one though is so
amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
like, God, cause like, I don't know why, but doing that made me think of the stuff that people found in FF9, like over a decade later, where like going back to certain spots and talking to different people, talking to certain people. There were like game-long sub-stories and side
Stanley
quests
walked
that
straight
people
ahead
just
through the
completely
large
missed.
door that read Mind Control Facility.
And just like you have to go back to this one spot continuously again and again and again and again and again.
The lights
and again and
rose
again,
on an enormous
after
room
very
packed with
specific
television
important moments during
screens.
the game.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
No, but that was a good game
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going.
Green 5.
What all this means. I barely know where to start.
No, that was a house. House green.
What's
5?
that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened
There's
to
an
them.
exit over there.
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley?
Hint green 2.
Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
Active
These
button,
numbered
hit green
buttons.
2,
No,
button,
these
hit
colored ones.
F5.
Or maybe this
Yeah.
big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Well, take it he didn't like me in that ending.
Were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
I do like
Perhaps
that
he
very
had simply missed a memo.
is something there, but like you really have to figure it out.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
All the doors are still locked.
Wow. Yes.
What did he say here before I left?
What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
It's a nice meeting room. It's a little bit weird to have this elevation here, especially with no warning.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Projection much?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue.
This is a pretty nice
When a long
spot.
time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Like, it's just mean to have it in a common space like this. Like, at least tell people, like, hey, watch out for the dip or something like this. But, like, come here, grab a drink, and then just immediately trip on your way back up. I guess if you wanted to have, like, a better view. Uh-oh. Can I? I don't know why I'm, like, trying to pseudo-game test this by, like, seeing if I can clip into this wall. At least, like, clip up this box. It's, like, really close. But I can't jump. Can't close the door either. Oh, they have a coffee maker, though. Coffee nut. If you're drinking that much coffee, that's probably really bad. Number 1 dad. Ooh, I got up on the table. Oh. Why did it make it sound like I was walking on water? Is that what it sounds like when I walk on the plant? How do I even get up? How do I get up there? Oh. Can I get anywhere else? Wait, can I get... Nope, can't get stuck there. Ah! I did it. But I can't get anywhere else. And there is a unique sound for when I'm standing on top of it.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Lying is bad. Don't do it. Do not jump from cargo lift while it is motion. Will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping off cargo lift, $5,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Thank you. Power is all I desire.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
They only warned me about the fine, not of the death. Well, no, they did warn me of the death. I was more concerned about the fine.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was
There's
sublime,
either an achievement
a
in
work
this
of
or an
art.
achievement in
But
the...
eager to get back to business,
or in
Stanley
the original
took the
to turn off
first
those
open door on
computers,
his
because
left.
there's no other reason why they would be on. Or like there's something that comes from doing that.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Okay, I will not break
Look,
the cargo
Stanley, I
lift and I
think
will not
perhaps
kill
we've
myself.
gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to
Sorry,
show
buddy,
you
I
something
played Portal
beautiful.
before. I know how this works.
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
What if I want to go through the white door? That requires a key card. I like blue better.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
You teleported me.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley? All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to
Yes.
find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well,
Yes.
don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building
This
this
isn't even
section of the map
textured.
because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see.
Yes.
Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees?
Nah.
Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps
Placeholder.
ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Damn it, I wanted to spite him.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Is the game better because it gave you more choices?
Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here,
Call
based
it
on the
intuition.
data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
How? Doors open. Door is attempted. 21.3% of players skip the intro sequence. Only the 3% get the correct door. Compete against it. Prove your... Okay. Now we'll go through the left door.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
No, because I don't care about leaderboards.
I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Like, unless it's something like Neon White, which is about...
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see.
Leaderboards don't really work for me when it comes to like wanting to play a game more, like
Yes,
legitimately. The only thing
seems like it'll work.
it's only useful when it's something like Neon White, where you get to compete against friends, or like I guess in general if it's like a score.
Aha, fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
Are you allowed
What's
to
our
do this?
backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley, and it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Firewatch was made in Unity. Good to know.
Oh no. No, it can't be.
This is...
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly, block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You really wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley.
We're in the woods.
I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful.
Are you allowed
See,
to
this
do
is exactly
this?
what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
That was just a
Okay,
direct
so what
Firewatch
exactly
map.
do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must.
They also talk to Epic
Stanley,
walking in
here's
and
the
out to
ball.
the Epic
Have
Game
fun.
Store. That ball's really big, though. Oh, it increased my movement speed. This is... I've never played Rocket League.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on?
I think
Stanley,
it's pretty
I have
fun.
a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out.
I don't think that
Here
works.
comes another ball. Yes. Oh, goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Okay.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun?
I think
Is
this
this
is
a
fun.
real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's
Aw.
right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes.
They
You
immediately
get to have
cap my
fun when I
movement speed
let
again.
you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows?
I can make my
You're
own
an
rules.
inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Time to slam a sheep. Spleply?
Hold on. What are you doing?
Oh. Oh.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Filing cabinet goes there. Doorway goes here. Uh-oh. I mean, technically speaking, not every game needs to have specific rules and such. Like... Can't jump over that. Like, Yume Nikki has limitations and stuff on it, but it's not necessarily like it has specific rules. Like, that's a very free-flow type of game. That is a software I do not recognize. That's RHL too.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it.
I am.
He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way.
Very
Once this
self-grandizing.
ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait. How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all
some
along.
Minecraft Man
I
Portal
got
1.
what I wanted.
Jeez.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I think I remember the Half-Life bit. I don't remember the portal bit.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take.
I like that I put in this code like 3 to 4 times already, and I
bursting into
forgot.
half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy.
We call that
he
neuroticism.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
That's not bad. That feels... that feels like
Feeling
almost...
soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly
feels like
walked
almost
forward
anti-speedrunner
into the opened
tech.
passageway.
The long one's not bad.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No, I did not.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Is she pretty?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yes. Goodbye.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story.
I don't know why
Trapped
you're
forever
yelling
in
at
his
me.
narrow vision
I did nothing
of what
wrong.
this world is.
Please let me move.
Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so
can
he
still feel
resigned
pain.
and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ma'am?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains identical to the first. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. The corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the two doors in a good time. Stanley Parables HD development. Nice. Good open space, get people like to walk around, investigate stuff. Limited options, goes through here, another open space. Sets a normal, go through here, long hallway. You see two doors, and it's just those two doors. The set of the two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parables design. Once the room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. The assets were filing cabinets. Different office doors. Button sounds. The selections of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of keyboard shook and a synthesized note. Ooh. Office computers. Installing Chart Pro 2.01. Solitaire. Employee database. Oh, this is nice. Model design. Original artwork. Original music. Sound design. Additional music. Kevin Muck. I know that name. Additional voice work. Leslie Staples, Avia Pinchas, Jenny Colgan. Written and designed by Davey Reedon, William Pugh, Pug. Crows. Art direction, audio direction, development lead. And the impeccable Kevin Brighting as narrator. I can never actually pronounce English names. Additional development, QA director, office administrator, producer. Console developed by 22nd Century Toys LLC. Based on the work of the Stanley Parable 2013 team. Additional level design, programming, animation, Stanley character skin, and a webmaster. What's over here then? This is really neat. Like, only version of the maintenance room. Like, I remember Ratchet and Clank used to have a couple of these. Like, they would have a couple of developer museums. Ultra Deluxe announcements. In December 2018, we announced the Ultra Deluxe version of the Stanley Parable at the Game Awards. These are screenshots of the videos we made for the announcement and the game's delay. Neat. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpret it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. This is a full museum. I like this. An early version of the lounge. Pleasant. Also, doesn't have that stupid dip. The apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. The second version is functionally the same as what's in a final game, but we wanted it to look more like a place where cargo was actually stored. That reminds me of that one room from Half-Life. Cargo lift was intended to offer the choice of staying on or jumping onto a different path. However, after this early version, we decided we also wanted the option of the player falling to their death. The flow of hallways following the first two doors was important to get right. Since players will replay them so many times, we discussed a number of designs, but ultimately it was the simplest version that went out. Option 1, doorway to maintenance to the lounge. Obey, staircase, disobey. Option 2, obey, disobey. The other entrance would be hidden depending on how you entered. Confusion ending. Option 3, one doorway to maintenance and a lounge, and the original back on track option. 2, confusion ending. Vent, what about this? Interesting. There's also a path to the right that I didn't take. Oh. For a long time, we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Zending? The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents the 4th version of the ending, and we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly before launch. Huh. The screenshot depicts an early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Zending levers. These levers were originally a part of the Zending. The player would pull the lever and the narrator would describe what color they pulled. I really like this. Oh, wow. We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game's development, each meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. This is the first one released in May 2012. It features a series of broken rooms and the voice of the narrator informing viewers that he is repairing a new version of the Stanley Parable. Neat. I really like this. Is this where the other staircase took us? The YouTube channel that you had linked. I was wondering if that was going to be there. This goes from here. Office clock. Screens from development of the boss's office. That leads up. Only version underground portion of the game. Narration outtakes. Kevin Brighting, the voice of the narrator, recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over the 2 years of development. These are the clips from the early takes that were not used in the final game. That's a lot.
And finally, he pushed the number 9. Nothing there. Shoot. Well, where were all of his co-workers? Oh, Stanley's how about Root?
Oh,
They're
they're
throwing a surprise party for him.
I think something messed up because they were just overlapping. That's a lot of audio. And that's also really nice that they just kind of have that there for people to listen to. That's the number for HD, not... Yeah, no, that's a lot. I can only imagine how many more takes he probably had to do for Ultra Deluxe. This was the very first incarnation of the Freedom ending in the game's alpha. Interesting. On the desk, one of the desks from the early version of the Countdown ending. This is the Freedom ending as it existed in beta. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down with Freedom above and Countdown below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down and placed the two endings together instead. Interesting. Early version of the Countdown room. Game design mockup. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent Davey, the writer, as a kind of audition piece. The strength of this level got William hired to design the full game. Though much of the environment has changed, the basic layout of this mockup is still in the game. Cool. After the second trailer we sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here is a selection of those emails. How do you stay in shape? Sincerely, Michael the Rock Martin. We're playing this. Oh. Are you okay? That's... I appreciate the previous Stanley game as a work of art and standalone title. I appreciate the credit given to art, which is why I'm eager to see the sequel prequel standalone companion game, because art needs Infinite quest, how many endings? If the same parallel is going to let me go shopping, I hope it will have a fine selection of desert boots. How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game ever? What is the difference between a duck? A duck and a what? How's the game going? I hope it's good or better than the first one. From a cool man. Are you a rock? Unfortunately, no. Like, this is legitimately, like, really cool. I kind of wish more games did, like, developer museums like this. But I know it's not entirely practical, and it probably takes up a lot more time. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created in November 2011, the second in March 2012, and the third in February 2013. Like, I remember at least a couple of these being not, I don't want to say common, but they were definitely, I remember them being a lot more frequent, like at least in some of the games that I played for PS2, but I also mainly remember it from like the Ratchet and Clank games, where it was just like, hey, here's a bunch of models and here's some concept art. And like games do have that now. Like I really like the Arkham series that did that.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
And like, yeah, a lot of games release like the concept art and stuff, and some of it being in art books, and other of it being like unlockables that you can get in games and stuff. But like the little notes are also really nice. The little notes and stuff from the developers, like, hey, this is what we did, this is how it looked here, this is when it looked here, we changed this because of this, this is our feelings about these little things. It's nice.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
I like that ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Curious. I wonder where the new stuff is.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
I wonder what's behind this door.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
There's no
Is
button.
it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or...
Walls are also
there we
both.
go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
How it feels playing any type of re-release and they're slowly teasing you with new stuff.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
I can jump. I can't jump outside of the circle. I can only do the new content in the designated circle. And I can only enjoy it for a limited time before it's out. They did something very specific to make sure that it looked that bad. Like, what is this? How do you get like a 144p texture onto this? Like, it is so crunchy.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
I had a feeling that the jumps wouldn't refresh. Don't worry.
Another elevator.
I was
Stanley,
anticipating
I
that.
have to say, Initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If
You'd be
this is new
surprised.
content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and
entire
me
game is
having
about
a great
gimmicks.
time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Went from not knowing to being a dev, and we are here with still new stuff. Just a picture?
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
What's up here? Sunset. I'm curious what's up here.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Okay, that just goes there. So the vent is the new stuff. Alright.
Oh, never mind. You're not a dog.
Sure, buddy. Coffee nut.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got
Yeah.
me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
This is...
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember
my
back in
God.
October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
That's an old screen cap of Steam. That's insane to look at. Our first kiss, my first card. I remember. The Memory Zone temp. The original remake. Linguists identify... What? Ultra-conserved words, the Washington Post. 6 components of a great corporate culture. John Coleman, Harvard Business Review. That's old Firefox, too. Jeez. The good times. Hey! A BAFTA. Category story. Advance Award. 2014 Independent Games Festival. That's... wow. A smile because it happened. What, the first dollar they made? But that's just like a cheap cutout picture. Oh, wow. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. Unachievable. It is impossible to get this achievement. That was so... People were so mad about that. Like, one of the vague things that I remember where people were so mad that they couldn't 100% a game because they had an unachievable achievement in it. British Academy. It is possible to get it. Because people still... well, but they were so mad because it was just like, you can't get this. And it's like, what do you mean? Debut game. New video game releasing today from the New York Times. Creators surprisingly down to earth. Rutgers goes from scandal to new crisis. Business leader pushing election of council allies. Colleges show uneven effort to enroll poor. Costs hinder new track to achieve diversity. LA Times. Stanley Parable deals tough choices. Little Stanley. It is really funny that this is a literal walk down memory lane.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
That Pinterest share and the Google Plus one is nuts. The Half-Life room, the portal room that they used. The Minecraft room that they used. The tasteful nostalgic, it was good. Person of the Year, the Offhans. Oh, wow. Okay. Narrator's dirt house in the Minecraft. The number is 29. You're really gonna go through all these, aren't you? People play games because what they can do inside them, and your game is very good at letting them know they can't do anything. Literally anything.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Repeatable carpet textures ready for your game project. 6 royalty-free designs. I remember that! Preparing snake oil salesman. Yeah, I remember that one being around. How do I move?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oof.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Shipping container after shipping container after shipping container. Hopefully that person probably changed their Steam name. Same for this one probably coming up.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
For someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast as it is neither revelation nor very interesting. It is only thought-provoking only the first few minutes. Why are you playing a game like this if you're... Why are you playing a game like this if you're talking about non-linear games? Like, you can't have picked this up and anticipated it to be something like that.
What's this one got to say?
Parable is
You
something
constantly
about
have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Maybe if you have a game that's focused on like dialogue heavy. Maybe you have a game that has like a lot of dialogue.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until too. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor.
No, don't do this, that's just
It is an unimpeachable
ladle.
strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
30
All right,
minutes.
here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review,
Put that
or at
dude on
least change some of the
blast.
wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, Surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something
it's
along the lines of,
self-serving.
this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
I can't leave.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was...
There's no door.
Well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's... Well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again.
We have nothing else to
I think
do.
the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole?
There-
A sufficiently large crack in the wall?
I get the
I'll
point
take
that
any
they're
of these.
making.
All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls
So I'm
1,000
trapped.
times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking?
Not
But it isn't,
necessarily.
Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away.
He's
and in
having
those
an
moments, the
existential
emptiness
crisis.
folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
I really
felt
appreciate the
nothing at all
commitment
but
to
regret
this.
for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
Like, this is
And when
so
that
much
feeling had
work,
begun to
so many
subside,
different
what
lines
took
to
its
keep
place
reading.
is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously.
Ego death?
I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible.
Oh, he's
The
just...
spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is.
That was mean. Is that a fire alarm? It is. He's just not here. That's so... Low batteries. Unfortunately, I can't change that. That's really funny that that's like after how many years that that's now at low battery.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, "He's talking too much," they said. "First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition.
Oh, you're just talking in circles.
Where are the jokes?
That one has a lot to it. Ooh. He makes some legitimately really good, strong points. And I like that it's the narrator's own insanity that kind of stops him from getting to the point of sounding very self-flagellating. Because, like, you can't come at it from that perspective. You can't come at it from the perspective of they're only doing this because they're mad and they're discontent with their own lives. So they tear me down because I'm trying to actually do something or because I'm actually trying to say something. But he has a point about that whole kind of gorging yourself on entertainment stuff. How that has to be a reflection of yourself and how, like, oh, because I want it, it means that the game's not perfect if it doesn't have it. And it's like, oh, I didn't like the narrator because he talks too much. Then maybe the game's not for you. Maybe you spent money on something that wasn't made for you. Maybe you're getting a little bit mad about something that wasn't made for you, and the fact that it wasn't made for you is what annoys you, which is why you want something that makes it for you. But that's not how entertainment is. That's not how art is. You can't make something for everyone, because if you make it for everyone, then it's for no one. And sometimes when you make something special, it's meant for the few people who really do resonate with it, and not necessarily somebody who's used to other things. Like not everything that you're going to spend money on, not everything that you're going to watch, not everything you're going to play is going to be for you or will be to your taste. And sometimes there'll be things that like you'll really like, and that they'll make you want to stick through it so that you can try something different. And maybe to play like a complete devil's advocate, maybe sometimes there is an issue. Sometimes there is an error. Sometimes you do make an oversight in something in game development because you thought, like, maybe this will work. No, it doesn't. And then you get feedback for it and, like, okay, maybe we were wrong about this. Maybe we can adjust this and change it and make it better. But then there are other times when you're playing a game or you're making a game and you're like, okay, some people might be annoyed by this. That's fine. It's fine if some people are going to be annoyed by failing multiple times to figure something out. It's fine if some people are going to be annoyed because the town that you made is a little bit confusing, perhaps with the intention to be confusing. Some people are going to be annoyed simply because one of the characters has blue hair. That's fine. You can't make not only games, you can't make art if you're constantly putting yourself in the headspace of what if somebody doesn't like this? Because there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like it. It doesn't matter how hard you try to appeal to as many people as possible. There's no guarantee that you'll ever make something or ever do something that somebody else doesn't have an issue with. Like you're fighting air at that point. Like you can't make a perfect game. You can't make perfect art. You can't make something that resonates with everybody. And that's fine. But then we're also in this state where there's so much constant critical feedback from people who aren't really good at providing constructive criticism or good, accurate feedback. So then you're like, okay, this person says that this should do 10% more damage, and somebody else is like, no, it should do 5% less. It's like, who do you listen to? Who has a more valid point? Who's making a louder noise about it? Are there more people talking about this thing because they heard it from this person first, or are they making the opposite point because they heard it from somebody else first? Do these people even play the game? Do these people even own the game? How far did these people get into the game? Did they get to the point where like that part actually got better? Were they simply just playing the game wrong? There's too many factors to take literally everybody into consideration for different things. That review about that even just thinking about it now, like that review of the guy saying like you gotta stand there forever so the narrator can speak. You can stand there once. Like what I was just literally doing, this is still my first time playing the game. Like I was standing there once, like, oh, I heard this line, like, oh, this is a funny line, I want to see what happens. And like, okay, I clearly ran up the dialogue, then I moved. And it's like, okay, I'm hearing this line again, I've heard it before, I don't need to stand there, then I move. When it's a game about you making multiple different choices, going down multiple different paths, and branching across those paths, yeah, there's going to be dialogue for people who are there for the first time. Then you can run right past it. There's different triggers that cause that to happen. Like arbitrarily, like if I was to walk to this post, like say I have to make a choice at this post, and I made all the choices before here. First time player, oh, go here, start, stop, funny. Go here, start, stop. Go here, then I get to make a choice. if I'm doing this again, it's like, okay, been here, get to go here, and then make the different choice. Like, games are designed for people to have a first time and hopefully a second time experience, especially if it's something with multiple choices. You can't expect everybody to want the things that you want, and you can't expect that the developers would also think like, yeah, the narrator that we spent this much money on to record for the game multiple times before the game fully came out, yeah, we should just have a skip button for that. Like, what? Like, the narrator is your most consistent other character in the game. Like, aside from Stanley / you as the player, the narrator is the second person, like, in this game who you're consistently talking to and interacting with. What do you mean you want to skip his dialogue 90% of the time? You're effectively just skipping the game at that point. Like, not everything has to be for you, and that's okay. And sometimes if something isn't for you, maybe if you approach it with a little bit more of an open mind, maybe you might change and learn to like something that you otherwise wouldn't have before.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
The roof is leaking. That's a serious water damage. That's serious water damage. I don't think this room has insurance. Ooh. This is really pretty. "12 hours to a week to a month to a year, and now we're past multiple years at this point." Oh. The horrors. This is nice. Aside from the burning sun, but still.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it.
Huh?
If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Ah, paranoia. Gotcha. Oh no. Or not, New content.
notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
I don't think those were supposed to disappear like that.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented.
It screams
progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
At this point, I'm just convinced that my computer is cursed for some reason. Meaning at 2. They're back, 2 doors. What? New content is out, new content part 2 is in. Boring sections of the chart, cool red section of the chart. The old and busted, the new hotness. One, more Stanley, the Stanley Parable. 2, better Stanley Parable. 1, 2, win-win. Sequential mindshare. Paradigm shift, synergy, brick and mortar approach. Envelope, client-centric marketing. The color red, leverage. Holistic value. The office plant really was important. TSP2 logo. Last edited 28 minutes ago. You finished this right before your meeting? Stanley Parable 2. That one's bad. Do not do the 5. Do not do whatever that 5th slide is. That's how we got Fan 4 Stick.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2. Divinity Original Sim 2. Doom 2, Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar. That one is not good. Dark Souls 2. People will start making arguments for that one nowadays. Crap, the ultimate sequel. This one actually is pretty slick. I like this one. Every pause button is a Roman numeral 2. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. Valued investor, this way to the show floor. Again? New content bus. Oh my god.
Here we are. Go on. Try out
Reinsurance
some of the
bucket.
new features.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. I want to know about the reassurance. I want to see the reassurance bucket. The QR code works.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
It's a puke bucket.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
It's a puke bucket.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Whole new office. Please no screenshots. Red is the new orange. The baby is walking on it. It's Boss Baby. Bankruptcy. Consistent quality with just the right amount of change. The new updated ray trace is more the same, but in a good way. Jump circle. There's an infinite hole.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
I'm going for the super go outside. Best of luck not touching it for 10 years.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
I don't think so. You're not really giving me
then
motivation.
Please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Yes, that's just the Jim button.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Infinite Hall, office decorations.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Probably not the 12th birthday.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
You're a bitch.
Or actually,
Like,
maybe I should
asking
have
my
gone with...
opinion just
No.
for that.
No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Jump circle. The jump circle remains the same.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
I don't get the jump. Never resets. That's fucked up. So, one, I'm by 5. This map. So I'm there. A9 is collectibles, which is behind me. Q says free achievement. How am I supposed to get there? How am I supposed to get there? Why does it say it's off the map? Get yours right now, pull the lever, receive your achievement, it just works. I don't trust that. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything in the first half, though. Infinite Jest, David Foster Wallace. Yeah, no, just go this way. Exits over there, collectibles over there, free achievement, the infinite hole. It won't end. Time depth. Time deeper. Distant past, distant space-time, distant future, distant space-time. Falling up. Space like infinity. Holy like infinity. Opening. Rim. Depth. Infinite. Surrounding area. Hole entrance. Infinity. Infinite hole chart. Hole. Depth. Space. More hole. Science. Infinity. More. Falling. Educational use only. It just keeps going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling.
So like
you
Portal.
can fall
Why is
until
it making
the end
engine
of
noises?
time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Wait, but there's no... Huh? Sign up at the name button again. Will do.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Why sooner? Is it because the infinite hole isn't infinite?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity.
What do you
From
mean,
one
definition of
perspective,
infinity?
The infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just
Nice
that
shape,
you're
Peg.
unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated.
Can I teleport
there.
back
I
up
think we both
still?
said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you,
That's still
then go
false
ahead and press the
advertising.
teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
People threw cigarettes down here? How did the mug fall without being broken?
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Mostly infinite hole. There's door there that I don't know how to get to. There's some type of joke in there. So there's the jump circle, there's the map, free achievement, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Merch store. Settings world champion. Office decorations. Epilogue. Wait, what? Epilogue's also on the other side. Huh? B2, Stanley's Parable Reassurance Bucket. So that's... Oh, this is... Wait, no, this is office decoration. Then up here's the reassurance bucket. $344. What is Options World Champion? The button that says Jim. You hear Jim in the game. You heard Jim in the game. Exit that way. Collectibles up there. Also change the mostly infinite hull. This is sketchy as hell.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
He's speaking in future tense.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
This is cruel. It's next to the gym button.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Check out the collectibles then. Can you find them? Can you find them? Can you find them? What in God?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
What do you mean 1 of 6?
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Epilogue. Office decorations. It is right next to whatever. So then I still missed the epilogue.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Oh, this leads... Oh. Settings World Champion. Oh, okay. And it's locked. Cool, thank you. This game is so mean about the achievements. Jump circle this map for achievement. Gym button, merch, settings world champ, reassurance, office decorations, collectibles. Okay, that should be everything here. What are these Rorschach games?
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
The door unlocks when you get the achievement. Very cool, thank you. New mug. Does that say TM? No.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never
1,
mind.
2,
Hold on. Let me do a different
3,
arrangement.
4.
Okay, yes.
4 of the
Yes,
collectibles are
this
there.
is
So there's
much
still one
better.
more, even if I got down there, that they
Here
would
we
be different.
go. Version 2.
1,
Who
2.
am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it, No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the
holes.
structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Slick. What do you mean other half?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say,
I hate the
"Hi."
balloons so much.
Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The fucking bucket.
Stanley felt
Happy
the bucket calling
12th
to
birthday,
him,
Step
begging
Please.
him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
I'm not picking up that stupid bucket.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
You've got to be kidding me. Holding the bucket changes every ending.
Yet there was not a single person here
need to
either.
hold this stupid
Feeling
bucket.
a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Okay, good to know. So now there's collectibles.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
It was the
secret did this
bucket.
place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
The bucket is why they delayed the game by a year.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under
That means that
someone's
you can
control
tell
all
whatever
this
is like
time?
Stanley
Was this the only
Parable
reason
2
he was
just by the
happy with
fact
his
of there being a
boring job?
bucket in the
That his
screenshot or
emotions
not?
had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
Absurd.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided...
I can understand. Yeah, because that means that, like, it is so
Blackness.
obvious.
and a rising chill of
Because that means that
uncertainty.
you can just pick it up whenever you want to go for the new stuff,
it
or
over?
not pick it up if you want to go for the old stuff.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the
think I fell.
machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight
I don't know.
streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Freedom.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
The stupid
Stanley
bucket.
picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Well, at least this is a good litmus test. There will be a reward for finding them all. Produce one plank to allow ease of access, pass fence, construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. Retrieve Chris's remains from warehouse floor. Construct new structurally sound bridge. Inside the sequel exhibit. Nearby. These are all... Is this some sort of game? There must be a point to this. Gotta collect them all. Large room, lots of boxes. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. A private but smelly place to an important person. Bottom text. Maybe we are the collectibles. To whom it may concern, I managed to pick up sounds unusual to our regular office ambience or local audio sources using an array of cardioid microphones, also known as directional mic, a microphone which picks up sounds from a particular area. Analysis of the recordings allowed me to triangulate the source of the strange noise. Data shows that in all likelihood it is coming from a dark area behind a very warm place. I also picked up what looks like the reverberance of porcelain surface. Anyone have leads on this? Clues, myclue.jpg. Please do not leave the office before reporting back on any new findings. Teamwork and communication are of great importance during this unprecedented time of investigation.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket?
What is it
Stanley,
saying?
I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together.
I just
Go
read this
through
thing
each
like
of them
5 minutes
point
ago.
by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
Years?
Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
The little sound effect of slapping the sticker on.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Thank you for the bucket.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
And now I have stickers.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Let's try this again and not try to break the game.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Just perhaps.
He looked
with
down
this
at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man
Why is she holding
who
it
had
like a
stumbled
baby?
through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work. For which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
They don't need you in the office. They need you at the Olympics.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Stickers on it.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Thank you, Safety Bucket.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left, to go back to the meeting room.
I hate that.
No,
bucket.
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
The bucket.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
No, I trust
He was
my buddy.
firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I trust Bucket Buddy.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
This one's a little bit more questionable.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Press X to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Oh, it's the schizophrenia kicking in.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
She can
That's
do more
it.
than that.
It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the left.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Press R to ignore anyone. Why am I in an abusive relationship with a bucket?
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley?
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid.
Is he being
Like it would be
seduced by
better
the
at moving an
bucket?
amount of water from one room to another.
To relive the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go home to work to home to work to work home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
The poster has a bucket on it.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Why did I get seduced by a bucket?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, I want to do one more ending, and then I'll... Trust me, trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation, this room, they feel pointless, TBH. Word spinning figures. What we know, what we forgot, what we don't know yet, bonus stuff. Employee 421 building a bridge. Saw one in cargo room. A bridge in a cargo room? Do we need contracts for them? NDA. Potential liability. Can we sell them? Obviously. More money if sold together. How many are there? 6. Why floating? Dreams. Magic. Our quarterly success. Magnets. Training or exercise by management? Why do they look like 427? Should we make them... employees, interns? What do they do? Our data, stock option. What do they want? Our data, stock options, money. I do like that's like a room that'll tell you like, hey, there's some here, there's some there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Where's the boss's bathroom? There it is. I got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. So that's a lovely purse.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I'm just not gonna question anymore. That picture is never going to, like, not win me.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Right, we're brute forcing this. Hang on. The bucket told me I should brute force it, so I'm gonna trust it.
The bucket? Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Well, I give up.
2845.
Can I get on this desk, though? It's about the same height as the one in the break room, so I did! Can I make it to the... No. I don't think I can make it to the boss's desk.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Now I have to see what happens if I go up and down again with the bucket. Just out of pure curiosity.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
My wonderful bucket wife.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
Surely it'll work. It has to work. You know what they say, third time's the charm. I don't think 8 worked. What if? No. I'm out of ideas. At least for now. Door lock.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Maybe if I press it again, it'll work.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
When you're trying to get your partner into your special interests.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears, and the whole time he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
I guess the bucket doesn't like the number 3 that much.
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
there's at least different types of roller coasters and different types and ways that they can be made. Number 3 is just kind of number 3, which is why I need to show the bucket why number 3 is so good.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life. This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over.
3 again.
One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
This one has reviews on it. 3, that's the magic number. Yes, it is. A shockingly three-dimensional character. There is so many and so much changes just for, like, these individual stupid gags.
There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
That... I don't think there's a better way of ending. The sequel is now paused. And it's still just like fully different. That's insane. Yeah, I guess that's I guess that's a good point. Wow. I don't really have a lot of words. I'd be very interested to see how the museum is with the bucket. No, that's just really cool. Yeah, no, this is really funny. It has some really... This is a game that, like, oscillates between being like really funny, but then also having some of those moments where like this is such a hard thing to describe. But that skip button one, like, especially was so, I guess potent is the word to use. No, I like this a lot. I'll probably stream this again. I want to stream this again next week and try to see some of the other things that I hadn't seen, which is also going to be hard because it means that in the meantime I have to completely avoid seeing anything continuously. But no, that's great. This was a lot of fun. But I need to make something to eat. I had a wonderful time. I'm going to have to stream tomorrow so I can make sure I get some of the detour stuff finished and prep for Friday stream. So yeah, thank you for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I certainly enjoyed myself playing this. Yeah, I'll probably do more of this next week. So yeah, Discord and Blue Sky are linked below, and yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your time. This game is so great. It's just so funny, and there's so many different ways of like various different reactions, on top of also just the odd natural bugs that I ran into. You know what? I'll actually probably verify the files before I stream this again. So I'll probably do that right after this stream. So yeah, thank you for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night. I just forgot. I'm also probably gonna try, and next time I stream this, I'll put it, I'll have it open when I'm opening it again, because of the whole setting the time thing. I almost forgot about that. Anyway, Janet.